Hello lovelies, Grow with the Flow crochet class is now in session and today we are talking crocheted cat eyes. Recently I put out a post asking you what sorts of crochet eyes you wanted to see me create tutorials for, and overwhelmingly the suggestion was to make crocheted cat eyes. So that's what we're doing today. Don't forget to save this video, like, share, subscribe, all of the things that will help me to be able to create more videos and tutorials in the future. Let's get started. First, let's talk materials. I'm going to be using a 3.25mm or a size D hook, and the yarn I'm going to be using is a cotton acrylic blend from Patty and Bango's Place. It's called the Bango's Blend, and the colours I'm using are Dusk, the purpley colour, and Midnight, the black colour. This yarn is a size 3 yarn or a DK or 8 ply weight, but the beauty of these crochet eyes is you can actually use any weight of yarn to suit your project. It's entirely up to you. If you're wanting to make a bigger eye, use bigger yarn. If you want to make a smaller eye, smaller yarn. Same goes for the hook, and that's the beauty of these eyes. They're so customizable. I've even seen people make crochet eyes out of plush yarn and they just turned out really big, but they were awesome. Alright, on to making the actual eye now. So we're going to take our black yarn and we're going to create 4 chains. Now we're going to work along the chain, but instead of working into the usual loops, we're going to work into the back bumps instead. When you kind of rotate the work, you can see those bumps on the back of your chain. That's where you work the stitches. We skip over the stitch closest to the hook and work in the next. We're going to complete a slip stitch, then a half double crochet increase into the next back bump. So that's 2 half double crochets in the same stitch. And then finally a slip stitch into that last back bump. But at this point, instead of using the black, we insert our hook and then attach our purple yarn. So we're pulling the loop through in the purple yarn. Now for this part of the eye, we're going to be working back and forth with a turn in between. So firstly, turn your work and we're going to be working in those stitches we just completed. And the next row is going to be worked in the back loops only. So that's 4 back loop only slip stitches. The first of these slip stitches can tend to get a little bit lost, so I like to put a stitch marker in it just so that it doesn't disappear. And yes, I use bobby pins as stitch markers all the time. They are the best, don't come for me. Like I said, this first row of purple yarn is back loop only. We're doing slip stitches all the way across, and that should be 4 slip stitches. And then once you finish that last slip stitch, we're going to turn our work and the next row work directly back into that stitch. Do not do a chain in between the rows. We're going to do a slip stitch again, this time under both of the loops. Then we're going to do a single crochet increase in the next stitch there. We're going to complete a chain after that increase and then work another single crochet increase into the next stitch. And finally for this row, into that stitch where you've got the stitch marker so it didn't disappear, you work a slip stitch. Once again, we're not working a chain, we're just going to turn our work, and instead of working in the first stitch, we're skipping over it and working in the second. We're going to do a slip stitch there, and then a single crochet in the next stitch. Then we're going to work a half double crochet in that chain gap that we left in the previous row. Then work a chain stitch, and then complete another half double crochet in that same chain gap. Now work a single crochet stitch and then 2 slip stitches, finishing out this row. Okie dokie, you've finished one half of your cat eye. Now the next section, we're actually going to be working over the other side of the eye and the first row in the back loop only. we're going to do 3 back loop only slip stitches working into that black yarn. Next we're going to work another slip stitch but across into that purple stitch just to kind of join the purple up with the other side, and hopefully you can start to see this is where the cat eye pupil starts to take shape. Then once again turn your work into that stitch with a slip stitch and then a single crochet increase in the next stitch. Complete a chain stitch and then another single crochet increase in the next stitch. Finally for this row, a slip stitch and then turn your work again. Again, we're going to skip over this stitch and work into the next with a slip stitch followed by a single crochet stitch and then a half double crochet in that chain space. Work another chain stitch followed by a half double crochet back into that same space. Complete a single crochet stitch followed by 2 slip stitches. That last slip stitch can be a little bit difficult to work, but make sure that you do get it in there. And with that, you'll have 2 sides to your cat eye, but we're not quite finished yet. Working back across to that first half of the eye, insert your hook and then pull up a loop of the yarn that you're using for the body of your creation, whether that's a bag or a toy. I am using orange yarn in this instance, so that's the yarn that I'm going to pull up a loop of. And we're going to complete a slip stitch with this new coloured yarn. You can see the yarn that I'm using is also a completely different texture, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to use the same hook because I'm a stubborn wench like that, but if you need to go up a hook size, totally do that. Then working in the back loops only, we're going to do 3 slip stitches. Before working a single crochet increase again into the back loop, before continuing on with 7 slip stitches in the back loops only. You can see from this we're working around the outside of the full eye just to finish it off. So we're not working in halves anymore or in rows, we're going around the entire eye. Then you'll need to work another single crochet increase again into the back loop before finishing up the round with 4 slip stitches into the back loop. And look at that, crochet cat eye done. Just to finish up, you'll need to trim a short length on the backs of the eye and then a longer length for whatever body yarn you've used. Fasten the body yarn off and then complete an invisible bind off to finish up that eye. To complete an invisible bind off, you want to work under both loops of the second slip stitch you did, pull that yarn through and then work back through the back loop of the final slip stitch you completed. You might just want to pull the ends of the yarn that you completed the eye with just to make sure it's super secure. You can also tie these in knots if you'd like. I don't tend to. I've not noticed that they come apart, but that is your eye done. And now you just need to go back and make your second eye. Okay, so I know most people at this point will be like, okay, I'm done. I don't need to know anymore. But wait, I have some more to talk to you about, and that is sewing the eyes on properly. This can absolutely make or break how the eye looks, so please, please, please stick around for this part. I always talk about this, but make sure that you're pinning the eyes on so you can see exactly how they're going to look, where they're positioned, because once again, it can change the entire expression on your creature. So pin them down, move them around, Make the changes now before you start sewing. Once you're 100% sure that they are in the right position, you can start sewing things on. If you've seen any of my crochet eye videos before, I always include instructions on sewing the eyes on. It's a very similar process with this cat eye. So we're going into the head with the thread, then through an eye stitch under both of those loops, then turning the thread back around and going through the next stitch on the eye before we go back into the head. So the order is head, eye, eye, head, eye, eye. That's the order that we sew each stitch. Having said all of that, obviously you can sew the eyes on in any way you like, but I find this method just gives it a real crisp edge, makes it look a bit neater. Do with that what you will. And with that, you've got your very own crochet cat eye. Hopefully that gives you all of the detail that you need to create some really gorgeous crochet eyes for your next cat project. Don't forget to tag me in your creations so I can see them, because I really, really love seeing what you crochet. See you next time.